approximately that time of year for my regular school reunion. Although I look forward to such events, I have to ask myself the question of fortune and how lucky I've been in the face of such debilitating conditions as dyslexia. Looking back at such fortunes that were provided around the 70s makes me reflect on today's educational standards. The aim of most cultures is to advance their ability and knowledge base in all aspects of life. The prehistory civilization of Europe and other Middle Eastern cultures, the ability was addressed with the point of view of edging towards mechanical civilization to a high degree. However, today all education is something used in varying forms to the 10th degree. Even getting into colleges has become stacked with barriers. The new students today flock into different schooling systems and their families fork out immense sums to get a good education for their future. Unfortunately, academic places of learning have had together to uphold the legacy by such famous intellectuals as Shelley and Byron. It was 1814 and Mary Godwin was meant to be on a secret getaway with her lover, Percy, but they seemed to have others with them to the small hamlet of Coligny near Lake Geneva. There ensued a battle of minds that evening where they would be challenged to come up with the most compelling ghost story. Frankenstein, a modern Prometheus, would go down as a great work, reworked throughout history, even to this day. The real question we have to ask ourselves is how education is to be formed in our modern age compared to the way in which inspiration was generated in such a classical century of literature as the 19th. Stimulus is no longer the norm within the context of educational development, so we look to more conservative ways in which to promote its understanding. As I've mentioned numerous times before, dialectic education, as propounded by Karl Marx, was the founding basis upon which we look at our conformist state in the 20th century. Marx said that his reasoning was that to build a hidden curriculum lying below the real curriculum, which is a product of a culture that can be given material rewards that are for the good of the whole rather than an individual. The bonding of two classes, a cultural capital, by organising what would later be described as a state apparatus around a quantitative basis. Children could be compartmentalised and structuralised, lesson timetables, individual learning programs, and a very regimented regime at an early age to prepare them for life within the workplace. Critical education. His approach was very much based upon the macro point of view, and his reason was that society creates people rather than people creating society. Our literary talent is on the decrease. Should we leave the EU? And Louise Richardson says a university's excellence comes from its academics. Richardson is Vice Chancellor of Oxford University. She believes that if universities lose their fame, EU students will have to pay for more than the British. Over at least 13 months, says Richardson, there's been a 14% drop in applications to British universities. More and more, home education is looking like a viable alternative. It is a choice made by the individual parent, which reflects on the teacher's job. The idea of critical education, as thought of by Marx, can only be applied to those within working class or comprehensive systems of education. Those in grammar schools have a higher status in the system because they focus mainly on academic subjects, which allow them to escape the fate that critical education provides, and move into well-paid and high-status occupations. Consequently, this fragmentation creates a divide within the system we see today. The idea of collective consciousness is something David Emil Durkheim, 1858, advocated. Perhaps neither of these two options is preferable, and our future should be left to find answers to its own questions, and the tutor should be trusted to achieve this. In 2017, literature-based works promote the breakdown of the boundary between author and reader. Barney's description of the modern home seems, on reflection, quite staid and confined in various respects, but it is most useful. It can be argued that it is quite accurate also, certainly within the context of the family unit. He is correct in that rooms are mainly sectioned off and segregated according to how they are used. But this tends to be different within the UK, at least according to very outside influences, from finance to communal living and construction of a family unit. It is evident that this description is not a universal one, but it's definitely not good for educational stability. A functionist point of view towards this would be called tetiology. This indicates the projection of viewpoints to find out the likelihood of future sociological developments. It is a vital part of the functionalist theory, as without this ability there would be no social progression. A theory that is debatable at best. Internet, satellite TV, mobiles, etc. are mostly screen-based and interactive. Does this promote control of our learning abilities? Masters believe that ownership is control, and that is exercised by those in such control. The pluralists believe that the audience control through sales and diversity via government to oversee censorship and content. Evidence of this is very difficult to find. Sales and controlling powers are easier to see if you're an insider, editors and such like. The Glasgow Media Group looked at the control of TV news, examining the content and editorial process. Is it better today to look outside to our nearest lake and wonder at the oncoming storm to get inspiration? Or might I wonder whether this might be the case? Certainly, getting high and promoting the use of copious amounts of electric shocks worked for Mary Shelley. We ought to try it. Maybe not. Education lies within our kin. With this next retrospective Rumours, I decided to look at something close to heart to some degree. Charity shops. In particular, I examined how they have evolved and contributed to our society over the past century, and how they consequently devolved under the current legislations. I do so with retrospect to the first Great Reform Act. In doing this, I examine what changes have been made and why. I ask what exactly we're trying to achieve through the creation of such institutions, and look at the corruption that has gestated within them. It is not without regret that I do this. The Duke of Wellington played a major role in the creation of our evolving Parliament, and it is with this great man in mind that the reflection is seen in more detail. Legislations and reforms have taken away its original purpose, and the imperatives of profit margins have allowed our memories of workhouses and poverty to be trodden on. How much of this is true? Oh my God, hold on. I've got a mic, hold on. And I'm here. Watch it. Here we go. One thing. It's approximately. It's approximately that. Hi. Fucking Piccadilly Circus. Here I am, desperately trying to get a decent shot. Now I'm wondering to myself if this needs putting over there. I never know these things, you see, that's the problem. That's the problem with these things. Oh gosh. Hey, just look into our nearest lake and wonder what's coming on the oncoming storm, don't they?
Beautiful.